Hey guys, welcome to this corner of the internet. Literally, we are at a corner. Today I'm doing something a little different, as you can see. I have my mic propped up on something that's not for mics, but I made it to be for mics forcefully. And I'm also walking on a walking pad on a standing desk. And I have my breakfast, I have my computer, and other stuff that should have been organized. I feel a little bit uncomfortable. Oh, I stopped the walking pad and I adjusted the camera. I haven't filmed in a long time. So if what I say today turns out to be garbage, let us not be surprised. It's just you need to be in the flow of things to kind of know what you're talking about, and I haven't been in the flow of things in a while. So, just letting both of us know, just letting both of us be warned at this time approximately. So right now I'm going to start the walking pad. This isn't sponsored, by the way, although I feel like I should be sponsored. Should this whole podcast be on a walking pad? The walking podcast? So I walk and talk and you walk as you listen? I don't know. That sounds good. But I'm actually too lazy to do that. So I'm going to walk just today. I'm going to see how it feels like, because I no longer have a sitting desk. It's a standing desk. In order to achieve my goals of hitting at least 10K steps a day, and I'm failing, by the way, still. What are the few things that I'm doing to try and get my life together? I'm eating oatmeal. No, I'm joking. It's actually yummy. It has a bunch of nuts and it has seeds and chocolate and peanut butter and honey. It's actually kind of like a dessert for breakfast, so I'm not mad at that. To be quite honest, I don't know what I'm going to title this video, but it's something along the lines of dreaming big. Today, what I'm going to be talking about is how your dreams have to be bigger than yourself and the universe that you currently exist in. Literally, not figurative, it literally has to be bigger than anything you can imagine. I'm sorry, let me just adjust my table really quickly because I have to hinge down to talk to the microphone. A couple of months ago, I made a vision board. Coincidentally, it just so happened to overlap with the new year, but don't get me wrong, I didn't do it on the new year intentionally, because that's cringe. I would never do that. It just so happened that it was January, but I made my vision board. It's right behind me, but you guys can't see it. Here, let me pull it up. I don't know if you guys are ready to see my vision board. It's not even a vision board, it's a bubble board. I'm hoping you guys can't read what's on this bubble board. Each bubble is an area of my life that I wanted to kind of figure out and improve on, because I wasn't so clear on what was going on there, I don't want to lead life in a way where I'm confused with everything that I'm doing. I just basically, with each bubble is an area of my life, and each sub bubble is more explanation regarding that part of my life. And one of those things here in the yellow is called co-op for training and internships and whatnot. And I wrote that and I was like, you know what? Let's not think too much about it. Let's just put whatever. And then whatever comes. But honestly, I'm not going to think too much about it. But after looking over my board, I was still looking at the co-op thing and I was like, you know what? I'm not so convinced that this is so true to myself. Because usually I dream big. I say over the top things and say that I'm going to do them. So it felt weird that I was kind of being modest in this area. After realizing that, I made a little extra bubble at the bottom. There was literally no space for this bubble, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this bubble just because. And basically what's inside this bubble is a program that I really wanted to get into, but the acceptance rate is 0.01%, something like that. Oh, no, wait, 0.1%. I think. I don't know. But anyway, the acceptance rate is very, very, very low. And I was like, you know what? If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Well, I'm just going to write it down because I'm going to manifest it. So I take all the tests. I go through all the stages. I take all of their weird lessons. And lo and behold, I get an email saying, "Congratulations, Farah, you are accepted." And I was like, wait, first of all, what? What? I was surprised because I've never been competent in test taking. I'm competent overall, but in test taking, I'm one of the worst test takers ever. The point of the matter is I dreamt big. I wasn't sure of the outcomes. I genuinely did not know what was going to happen. In my head, I wasn't thinking, I'm never going to get accepted. This is stupid. I'm obviously never going to get it. Because that would set me up for failure. That wasn't right. But I put it because in my head, I was saying that if Allah wants this for me, I'm going to work hard. But if Allah wants this for me and Allah knows that this has something good for me, then it's going to come to me, regardless of what happens, regardless of whether I actually did good on the test or not. And I got the best of the best program in this program because it's a bunch of programs within a program. So the students get subdivided into other programs. And I got the best program ever. And I was like, oh my God, I have to do this with everything else in life. Why have I been so humble in my dreaming? Be humble in your character, humble in your attitude, humble in the way that you lead life. But don't be humble in your dreams. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to talk about all of this with regards to you. Because it's not just about my dreams, it's about your dreams. And then collectively, it's about our dreams and how our dreams can make this world a better place. And I know that sounds like it came out of a Disney TV show, and I think it has, but oh my God, my endurance is so bad. I'm having breathing right now, bro. But I feel like there's something we can learn from this experience that I have lived. And I honestly just want to share it with everyone so that I hope that everyone can feel and go through what I felt, because it's honestly something out of this world. Because I'm not used to getting accepted, and I'm used to rejection. I'm very used to rejection. I have been rejected a good portion of my life, So when I got this, I was like, whoa, But also, I'm not mad at the rejection that I have faced. I'm happy about it because it feels like a protection at the same time. First thing that I want to get across is that I dreamt big. But not for the sake of just dreaming big. Because people often tell you, you have to dream big. But you have no idea why they're saying that. And at some point it just becomes cringe. It's like, dude, I feel like you're a broken record just telling me that over and over. But it's why? Why not live the 95 job? 9 to 5 job. Just live this very standard life, that the cookie cutter life. Why not? The reason I dreamt big was, for me, the way I see it, was for the sake of fulfilling the person that I was always meant to be. So the reason I have these visions of how my life is going to turn out, not because someday I'm going to do them. One day I might start. Because at the end of the day, this person that you're meant to be isn't an end product. It's every part of you and every timeline of the universe. It's who you are 24/7 is who you are meant to be. You know what I mean? I don't know how to deliver this idea without sounding a little bit extraterrestrial, but I think people hold off their dreams and people put aside what they really want to do into the future. They use, very common justifications of saving up and it's just not the right time, or yada yada. There's so many different kinds of justifications, and they might sound convincing, and they have probably convinced themselves a little too hard that they feel very comfortable with that justification. But it's they put it off because they want it to be in the future, and they think that the outcome of their dreams and all of these visions and everything is just an end product, and it's just this one thing that's going to come out. And it's there is no end product, if that makes sense. There is no final product to your dreams. It's you fulfilling the life that you were always meant to have, of fulfilling the person that you were always meant to be, is something that's constant and something that's infinite. It spans over your lifetime. It doesn't happen at a certain point. That is if you're true to yourself. That is if you're true to what you actually want and what you want to be. Sometimes it feels like some people are living double lives. They say they want to be this something else. They want to do something creative. They want to create, but I see them in like a job that is so completely opposite to that. And I don't know, it makes me a little confused, you know? I understand that some people have like certain circumstances and they're like working through it to get to where they want to be, and that's fine. But some people almost deny that other part of them, kind of deny themselves and their dreams. Like they don't actually acknowledge that they have these big dreams. They think they're just going to stay as dreams, that they're not going to blossom into something bigger, something that will actually be manifested into reality. And I think that's the scariest thing about these big dreams. If you do not give them the proper attention and the proper time, they will eventually die with you. And no one will get to know, no one will get to also reap the reward of your dreams. Because I don't think dreams are just for yourself. I think dreams are for the benefit of everyone. I feel like I'm going to go a little bit into a tangent, but the way I see it, the way I view it, is that Allah puts something in everyone. And maybe things, and it may not be just one thing, it may be a variety of things, but that Allah places things inside people, like dreams and visions, and a yearning to a specific thing. Since you were a child, it's something that was placed in you. And I think that thing inevitably is for the betterment of humanity. It's not just for you to be interested in, but it's for you to use and take advantage of to help society in the long run. I think all of us have that. Even if some of us find the things in other people a little bit boring, and like, forgive me, but like some things like some people are interested in, I'm like, I could never. Ew, I could never. But that just shows you Allah places this talent inside of some people that you would never relate to in a million years, but also Allah placed something inside of you that they would never relate to in a million years. But that's why we complete each other in that way. So like, I feel like that's just the general picture of why we must have these big dreams and why we should actually learn to bring them into reality and not just ignore them. So the question is, what are your dreams? Because I'm talking about dreams and I'm talking about the importance of them and why we have them and what they will do for us. But it's like, what are your dreams? You know, are they the things that you love to do when you were a child? Are they things that you see yourself turning to at night? Are they, whatever they are they things that just pique your interest? Like nothing really that has this burning fire passion inside of you, but it's just something that's like, that's interesting, you know? Well, let me tell you about one of my dreams. When I was little, I had this dream of living in New York City. New York City. Why? In retrospect, I think it's because I saw everyone living in New York City. That's where all of the cool stuff was happening. And so I thought that I just wanted to be with the cool people. It wasn't long before I realized that that wasn't one of my actual dreams. That was just something that I saw off the internet, and I thought I wanted it, but turns out I am no longer wanting it, thank you. And just hear a lot about rat stories in New York, so I think I'm going to pass on that for now. But see, that's why it's so important to ask yourself what your dreams are. Because when you write them down, when you really try and investigate deep into what your dreams are, I think sometimes you'll find a pattern, or sometimes you'll leave it to rest and you'll come back to it and you'll read it and you'll be like, was that actually my dream, or was it just something that I saw someone else have and I felt like I wanted it, you know? Because that really does happen. Sometimes people confuse their desires for dreams. You know, like they desire something, they think that that's their dream. That's what they should chase. And I think the interesting thing is actually, dreams aren't things you are meant to chase. And I know that's kind of like paradoxical with what I'm saying, because I'm like, you must go after your dreams. And then I'm like, you aren't meant to chase your dreams. But hear me out. What I'm trying to say is, if you're chasing your dreams a little bit too hard, like you're almost dying for it, I don't think that was meant for you. You know, just a guess. Of course, that's like different for certain circumstances, but in a much more general sense, if you're really struggling to chase your dream. It's hard to explain. I don't want you guys to conflate it with working hard. You're meant to work hard for your dreams because you're not going to have it easy. If you have everything easy, what's the point? But you're meant to do the hard work to get your dreams manifesting themselves into reality. But sometimes people chase things that really just are not meant for them, and they think that those are their dreams. I can't say something that's super specific because it's different for each person, but I feel like if you're chasing a little too hard and you're trying to convince yourself, and you feel like you're kind of lying to yourself in a way, then that's when you really need to sit down and you need to be honest with yourself and figure out what it is that you actually want. Absolutely, regardless of what anyone thinks. Because I feel like some people's opinions can seep in, and like you'll think about what your parents want, what your friends want, and then you're like, wait, what are my dreams now? You know what I mean? This mixture of external and internal voices, it's like you have to be very, very quiet, and you have to be very present to know what it is exactly that you want. Because with all of this noise, how are you going to know what you want? How is it even possible to be clear in a space of noise? And this is not something I think you figure out in one night. I think this is something that you figure out over the span of your development. Like, we take till 25 to kind of grow ourselves fully, brain-wise. And so I think that gives you enough time to not know what it is exactly that you want to do with your life, but know what direction that you want to take your life in. And I'm not talking about anything specific like engineering or like majors. No, I'm talking about like what type of person you want to be. Where you want to situate yourself in your life in order to make this place, this earth, a better place. And there's this really interesting quote that I heard a long time ago. I don't remember where, but it said that your interests and passions are not random. They are connected to your purpose. And the more I realize like what my passions are, the more I look back into my childhood and I see kind of like this parallelism of the things that I'm passionate about now. Like when I was little, I loved to draw. I loved art like nothing else. But I also loved being on the computer. And not just because the computer had access to the internet. Sometimes the internet wouldn't work, but I just loved being on the computer. And so I'm aware now, by seeing the parallelism between these 2 points in my life, that while I love art, and I still do art, I still try to give attention to this part of me that needs to come out in some way, that's creative. But also, I actually love computers. Like, I love what computers can do for us. I love this idea of integrating this thing that was recently literally completely unknown to us and felt like a robot to us into something that actually improves people's lives. And so, seeing that, it kind of makes me understand that, okay, I think, this is not completely 100% sure, but I think I want to take this path in life because this is the thing that I'm passionate about and I actually like. And it's not just with this thing, because this is something that's like career-wise, this is something that's a little bit, technical, but there's also other things like, for example, the Quran. I feel like we all want to memorize the Quran or like develop a relationship with the Quran, understand the Quran to the fullest scope as much as we can. And so if that's something that you're also passionate about, you also see yourself going in that direction. And so it's a bunch of things. It's not just one thing. Your dreams are an accumulation of things just for you to fulfill the person that you were always meant to be. But this takes me to my next point, which is, what is your biggest dream? Because there are dreams, but then there is your biggest dream, the thing that you are striving for most. And actually, it was a trick question. The biggest dream you should have is Jannah. Sorry, guys. I'm not really into trick questions, but yeah, that was a trick question. Non-Muslims are probably going to be very super confused. And they're like, what's Jannah? Jannah is paradise. Why Muslims do anything that they're doing is because they want it to go towards Jannah. Point blank, period, dot. Everything that Muslims do, every single breath we take, and while this may sound extreme to a non-Muslim, again, is for Jannah. Everything is for the sake of Allah first and foremost, but is for the ultimate goal of Jannah. That's what we're striving for, is to be close to Allah, our Creator. That's kind of the thing shaping our path, you know what I mean? So whatever we choose to include in this path is meant to go hand in hand with our ultimate path and our ultimate goal, that is Jannah. Because I think that we get so comfortable in this life sometimes that we forget that we're living in what is described as utter trash, literally, when it is compared to Jannah. I think thinking about death and thinking about what comes after death and your life ending at some point helps a lot in making you understand what it is exactly that you want to use this life for. You know, because you don't want to use it in vain, obviously. Most non-Muslims would say that they want to lead a meaningful life, that they want their life to mean something at the end of the day, that they want to leave this earth with a good footprint that they leave behind. And I think that's what you would find across most religions. But in Islam, it really makes clear that every single thing you do is like something that you're investing for your afterlife. You know, but this is a very like Muslim-centered perspective. This is a very Muslim-centered approach. Continuing on the Muslim-centered perspective, I'm going to be talking about something called ikhlas. Ikhlas has layers of meanings, but I think the meaning that I want to get across today is sincerity. And not just sincerity, but also perfection. Ikhlas liwajhillah basically means sincerely perfecting an act for the sake of Allah, for yourself inevitably. And if something is sincere and true and perfect, it's going to go back to the intention of that action. Why did you do what you did in the first place? Your why in every single thing that you do has to be the most important thing to address first and foremost. If you do not know your why, if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, especially things that heavily take up time in your day and you're doing them regularly and you don't know why you're doing them, I think that's the biggest concern that we have to address first and foremost. Like, let me give you an example. I was sitting with someone the other day. I literally don't remember the exact setting. I don't remember who it was. I don't remember anything much except for the conversation itself. We were talking about what we do in our day-to-day lives, and she was like, when you get back home, what TV show do you watch? And I was like, I don't watch a TV show. What? And she was like, then what do you do? And I was like, I don't know, like other stuff, like I build things on the side. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to plop myself on the bed and watch a TV show when I could be doing something else that I'm more passionate about and that I'm interested in. And I know that that's where I want to invest my time. And so it dawned on me that that's something that people actually do. Something that people are actually so comfortable with doing is that they come back home, switch off their brain, put their favorite TV show, and that's it. They just like let their life pass by and just move in this fashion. And I think they're okay with that. For me, it's like, don't get me wrong, sometimes I procrastinate. Sometimes I am entertained by something, so I'll give myself like 20 minutes to like look at the thing. Or, you know, I find a movie that's interesting, okay, I'll watch that movie. But all in all, these, I think, are going to make me a better person in the outcome of watching them, of having consumed this media. So like if I see a movie that I think I'm going to be inspired by, that I think is going to make me more motivated at the end of watching the movie, then I think that's the perfect movie to watch. Or if I see a TV show that I think is going to make me move things around and start questioning what I'm doing, that's a good TV show. I'm going to watch that TV show. But not like completely be absorbed by the TV show where I don't have any other life besides it. And that's it. I'm just inside the rabbit hole of this media and I can't stop watching mindlessly. Like the meme goes, we are demure. We are mindful of what we watch, you know? Genuinely being mindful of what you are consuming. Because I think people also really love the hype of TV shows. Like there will be news and talk circulating a particular TV show or movie that's on Netflix, and people will just consume it in a heartbeat. And it's like, but why? Why are you doing that? What's the point? What's the reason? So that you understand what's going on. If you think that it's going to make you understand something at the end of it, it's going to make you better in any way, I don't know, but like your why has to be clarified. And I know like the scrutiny is uncomfortable, scrutinizing every little thing that you're doing and why you're doing it. But I swear to God, that couldn't be more important if you want your life to be actually meaningful. If you want all of your actions to be meaningful. Otherwise, like, what's the point of anything? Might as well be potatoes on the couch. What's the point of trying? Sorry, I think I got a little bit carried away. I think it's just I'm seeing this trend in this generation, especially since like Netflix subscriptions and all of these other subscriptions are on the rise. I think, I'm not sure. But I think the thing that like set me off was that I'm just concerned with how chill everyone is with the way that they're consuming media. Like, everyone's just fine. You know, it's like that meme where like fire is going on in the background and that dog is just like, everything's fine. And guys, by the way, I don't think I'm being extreme in this approach. I'll give you an example that'll make it better to understand. I'm pretty sure it's going to unextremify the situation. The other day, I watched Legally Blonde. You know why? Because I'm actually inspired by the main character. I know I don't look like it, but I'm actually into pink and sparkles and bubbly things. You know? It's just, I'm also like into discipline. So like these two things are they're not conflicting though. It looks like they're conflicting, but they're not. And I watched Legally Blonde and I was like, at the end of the movie, I was like, oh my God, yes, Harvard? Like it's hard? Not that I want to get into Harvard, but like the way her attitude and everything, it's just like, yes. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Not every reason has to be, oh my God, this is for this, you know? It's like, no. This movie, I'm watching it because I actually get inspired by this movie. I like this movie. Sue me. Don't do that. Because I came off a little bit extreme. I'm not that extreme. I don't think. By addressing your why and by understanding why it is that you're doing what you are doing, I'm going to take this to another Muslim-centered perspective. And I'm going to talk about dua and how anything and everything that you do in your life must be partnered by dua. I realized this recently, and ironically, I actually made a YouTube video about this, talking about dua. But I don't think I implemented it so completely and the way I see as correct now, because the way I see dua, honestly, is that you include it in anything and everything that you're doing, regardless of whether you think it's easy. You know, like if it's like actually the easiest thing ever, still pray that Allah make this easy on me. Allah help me. Allah make this beneficial for me. Anything and everything. I am not exaggerating. When I started making dua, I hate saying making dua, astaghfirullah, because it just, in Arabic, it sounds weird. لما أدعي, when I am praying, because dua is kind of like a form of prayer, I'm noticing things have a lot more blessing in them. Like everything that I touch and do is just blessed. It's literally so much better. I feel better. The outcome is better. The process is easier. Everything is just so much better. Like before Ramadan, because Ramadan ended, which by the way went a little bit faster than I realized, but whatever. Astaghfirullah. At the beginning, or like a few days before Ramadan, I was like, Allah, please make this Ramadan blessed. Like, please make it influence me, make it affect me, make it something meaningful for me, you know, because I'm kind of used to going with the motion of things and not really, you know, realizing where it is that I am. Like the past Ramadans, I'm like, it's just Ramadan, you know, but this Ramadan, oh my days, I was so entrenched in it. It was actually hard getting out of it. I'm not even joking. Like, Eid was like 2 days ago. I'm actually still trying to adapt and come back to real life. Alhamdulillah, I have not hit the post-Ramadan depression. Alhamdulillah, I'm very grateful for that because that's something common where it's like you get so used to Ramadan and then after Ramadan you're like, what's left, you know? But I'm realizing that I have to take everything that Ramadan taught me, everything that I learned in Ramadan, and apply it outside of Ramadan till the next Ramadan. Because every time I feel like in Ramadan I am reborn. I am a new person. I get to do everything that I have set myself out to do. And I can eat during the day in order to sustain my energy to do those things. Because I need food, bro. Sometimes I eat because I just feel like eating. Like I'm not actually hungry. But then Ramadan comes and basically disciplines me like a little child with a stick. You know? Whereas like, no, you eat for energy. You don't actually eat to just pass the time. Did you guys see me eating oatmeal just now? Energy. Because I'm going to go to the gym in 30 minutes. Energy. I feel like I talked a little bit too much about Ramadan. But honestly, had I not made the dua before Ramadan, I don't know how this Ramadan would have turned out. I think it would have been still like Ramadan, but it would not have had the same effect on me had I not made the dua. Because literally on what I think was Laylatul Qadr, because we don't know, the night of decree, I made this dua and I was like so into it. You know what I mean? I made a list actually. I don't know where it is. I made a list and I was like so into it. And I was like, this is gonna happen. And it happened already. What? You might be thinking. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, it already happened. It was decreed. Hopefully it follows through because it's in the process of being decreed. I don't want to say exactly what it is, but yeah. Do you know what I mean? Isn't that crazy? Well, it's actually not because it's Allah. But it's just so unbelievable that we have access to this. But I think what's even more powerful than that is that, okay, well, we have these special nights and days, like Yawm al-Arafah, wa Laylatul Qadr, like all of these powerful days for making dua. We also have the last third of the night, every single night of our lives. Like Allah descends every single night in the last third of the night. And we have the privilege of being able to speak with Allah in tahajjud, in prayer, just to say everything that we want to say and to ask for anything that we could ask for. It's like we have access to this. That should be illegal, but it's not, thankfully. It's not. But what I'm saying is like we are not taking advantage of that at all. And this is kind of a tangent because I'm getting into like tahajjud and I'm getting into Ramadan and all of these things. But like, I'm just showing you how this idea of dreaming big is in everything, in every form of prayer and worship that you do. Like when you're praying, pray for the thing that you're dreaming so big about. When you're making dua, make dua explicitly for the greatest thing ever. And then when you're reading Quran, try to understand the things that Allah is saying because it might contain things that pertain to your next step. I swear to God, sometimes when I'm reading the Quran and I'm like going through something, or I keep saying going through, but I'm not actually going through anything, alhamdulillah, but like I'm just like living life and I read something that kind of completely describes what's going on in my life. I'm like, wait, this is speaking to me? That's crazy. It's supposed to speak to you though. And if you are attentive, and if you are actually paying attention, and you give it your full undivided attention, it's gonna give you back so much more. Like I'm telling you, all of these forms of ibadah, but then ibadah also is in everything that you do, by the way. Everything with ikhlas, every action that you do, mukhlis liwajhillah. So when you think inevitably this is all in your best interest, it has to be enough motivation to sustain you. And these dreams that are big may seem so big to you, but I swear to Allah, it's like kun fayakun. You know? Kun fayakun is is the way that Allah brings things into existence, where He says, be, and it just becomes. It's nothing on Allah. It's literally nothing on Allah. But it might be your whole world. It's enough to think that Allah placed us as khulafa on this earth. Because it's not just that we pray to Allah to bring our dreams into reality, but it's that Allah actually wants us to do that. Allah placed us as khulafa, vicegerents on this earth, to build and solve and advance and thrive on the individual level, but also on the societal level. Whenever I tell my mom about these dreams that I have in my brain, that I want to conquer, she always brings me back to this one ayah. She always says, وَاعْمَلُوا آلَ دَاوُودَ شُكْرًا وَقَلِيلٌ مِنْ عِبَادِيَ الشَّكُورِ. O family of David, work gratefully. Indeed, very few of my servants are grateful. And I'm like, bruh, I'm just trying to tell you my dreams. Why are you bringing me back to that ayah? Astaghfirullah, I wasn't actually like that. But she always brings it back to that ayah. And the more I see my dreams coming into fruition, and I see that my hard work is paying off, but also that it's being completely blessed and eased by Allah, I'm noticing that I have more things to be grateful for. And that once I was praying for the things that I already have, I was literally crying to Allah, and I already have these things. And so being grateful is, in my opinion, one of the most important things that you have to do in the process of you bringing your dreams into reality, is to be grateful with where you are, and in the process of it, and after its fruition. It's to be grateful the entire ride. I actually have to dedicate an episode on gratitude, and I actually have no idea when I'm going to be doing that, because this podcast has been honestly a weird ride for me, but I cannot stress enough what gratitude actually does. To be grateful, to be thankful to Allah, to understand what you're privileged with, to understand, or at least try to understand and encompass just how much Allah has given you, is beyond words, if I'm being honest. It's genuinely beyond words. For me, when I try to explain it and when I try to describe it, and every day that I'm living it and I'm seeing all of the things that I'm blessed with, I'm like, I don't know how to thank you. When I'm talking to Allah, I'm like, I don't know how, what can I do to just show you how much I'm grateful, But then I circled back to the realization that Allah blessed me with all of these things for me to use them to try to make myself and the world a better place. I'm not just privileged with these things to just call it a day. This is all a means to the end. This is not the end itself. Because the end itself is Jannah. That's the end. But everything that you are blessed with and given and you have been privileged with is a means to the end. You are actually meant to be using that to fulfill your dreams, to fulfill the person that you're meant to become, to make this world a better place. And so you have to be grateful that Allah equipped you with these specific tools, these specific talents, and the specific family that you're with, and the specific city that you live in, and every single thing. You must be grateful for what you have, because that's what you're going to use to try and make it to Jannah. Obviously, by the mercy of Allah, we could never reach Jannah on our own. That's not possible. That's not feasible. At the end, it's all by the mercy of Allah. But basically, in essence, that's what I have to say about dreams. And I realize that I'm wiping the table quite a lot and that it's reaching the microphone. But then the microphone is also picking up on the walking pads. So this has been a mixture of sounds. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. I really have been thinking about this episode quite a bit. And I didn't really want to butcher it, but honestly, it has been sitting in my brain for a little too long. And I said, nope, this has to come out. So I made this episode. So I hope this was helpful in any way, shape, or form. And I will see you guys when I see you guys. Bye-bye.